Government has responded to these groups that are seeking some kind of justification in all this in the courts. The ball is now in the judge's court. Could and should the judge order the IRS to hand this information over or to let some computer experts in there to see if they can get their hands on it? Judge Andrew Napolitano is a Fox News senior judicial analyst, and he joins me now. Judge, welcome. Good evening to you.
Good to be with you, Martha.
So we just heard a little while ago from Cleta Mitchell, who's the attorney for True the Vote, and they had asked the IRS, let's bring in some outside investigators to look through your hard drives and figure out what's in there. And they basically came back with the resounding, look, there's nothing here. There's no evidence. There's nothing to dig into, and basically back off.
Well, the IRS lawyers are really making an argument that's basically sophistry. It's just a circular argument. And they're basically saying that because these things don't exist, there is no evidence for us to give you. And because the crash of Mrs. Lerner's hard drive happened before you sued us, there is nothing in that crash that could conceivably affect this lawsuit. You know what? They're saying it to the wrong judge, and they're saying it in the wrong forum.
Why?
Well, this judge, Reggie Walton, is a very, very strong-willed guy who's nobody's pushover. He's certainly not the government's pushover. If he suspects that a litigant before him is playing fast and loose with the rules in order to prevent their adversary from seeing what they have a right to see, he's going to come down on them very hard. It's really the beauty of our system. The IRS has stonewalled the Congress to the frustration of two-thirds of the nation. The Congress can't get to first base on this. But here you have a private litigant, True the Vote, and they have the IRS, the great grand inquisitor IRS, with their back to the wall. And they are within inches of getting what the Congress can't get, which is an outside independent investigation of Mrs. Lerner's hard drive.
Yeah, you're so right. And when you think about the fact that Lois Lerner said, look, I called the IT department. I really wanted to find out if I could get back the information that was lost there. Well, if she really wanted to get back that information, why wouldn't they welcome an outside investigator to say, you know what, come on in, get a look in the hard drive, because there's nothing there. She told us in front of Congress, there's nothing there. I did nothing wrong. They are stonewalling to the point where, as you say, this had to be pushed into the court system to get anywhere, and finally maybe True the Vote's going to get some kind of answers here.
I have a feeling, look, I can't predict what he's going to do. I'm certainly not going to suggest what I think he should do. He's a terrific and superb federal judge who calls things as he sees them. But I have a feeling that some light is going to come out of this. If he's going to demand, he's going to insist that the IRS do something, which the Congress is powerless to do. And I'm not blaming the Congress. They just don't have, they don't have the tools to do as well,
correct?
Correct.
If they destroyed this evidence, that's one thing. Well, if they didn't save the evidence, they're guilty of breaking the law, correct?
Correct. But for them to say there can be no evidence in this case because the hard drive crashed before the case started is not an argument that will resonate well with this judge. For them to say, we won't help you find what was on there because we don't even want an outside person to look at this hard drive, just belies common sense. Look, 16-year-olds that know more about computers than you and I do, certainly more than I do not believe Mrs. Lerner's excuses and the excuses of the IRS.
If there's nothing to hide, I say again, if there's nothing to hide, open the doors. Say, come on in. We have no problem with you looking at everything that is in here. John Koskinen, this poor guy, sat before Congress and said, oh, we're going to produce all the emails for you. I'm going to be back here and we're going to produce them. Now he's forced into a situation of saying, oh, actually, she never did print them out. Somebody told me she printed them out, but apparently she didn't.
Well, now he's getting very, very close to misleading Congress. Remember, there's two potential crimes here. One is an outright lie under oath, and one is sort of a below-the-radar screen lie where you say things to mislead. That's what Roger Clemens was tried for, ironically, before Judge Reggie Walton, who threw the case out because he was so upset with the government's shenanigans. And then eventually Clemens was retried and found not guilty. But the IRS is in a position they don't want to be in right now before this judge. Fireworks on Friday.
A lot of people think checks and balances has failed True the Vote so far, but now they've found one more check and balance out in the court system.
There's that other branch of the government.
Exactly, and we'll see if they get anywhere with it. Judge, thank you very much.
You're welcome.